Hi, this is Chrissy from Hang to Dry Applique, and we are bringing you a tutorial today on how to complete our brand new Rosy trim heart. And you'll have to excuse my voice. My kids' cold has finally caught up with me and not feeling all that great. But I wanted to go ahead and get this done because I know a lot of you are waiting on it, and I promise you it's so much simpler than it seems to be when you're first looking at it. So to begin with, you're going to need to find yourself some semblance of this trim. We were able to find it at Hobby Lobby. As you can see from my fantastic cell phone photo, it comes on one of those little cardboard trim holders. I don't really even know how to describe this, but kind of one of those cardboard pieces that you would see that's notched out that holds the trim. Kind of like you can buy lace, and it was just obviously in their ribbon section there at Hobby Lobby. We purchased a yard of trim, but I have enough to probably complete 3 or 4 heart designs. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I don't see why you would have a problem finishing this design if you just purchased half of a yard. If you're not able to find it at a Hobby Lobby, I know that Joann's carries it. I've also seen it on Amazon, and what you're looking for is this frayed rosette trim that's about 1.5 inches wide. It is kind of frayed at the edge, which is nice because we do cut it apart, and so you don't want anything to really kind of distract from the neat structure of this trim. So you can see we chose to use red on our design, but I think it also comes in white and pink. So here's how you start this design. I'm going to go ahead and run through our sew simulator here. You can see that the very first stitch is a gray tack down stitch, which is going to show you where you need to place your trim. You want to go ahead and center the bulk of that trim over the area that you need to cover. Basically thinking of it just like you would think of a regular applique fabric, and then go ahead and return it to your machine where a white tack down stitch is going to come through. You can see that it stitches straight through all layers of this trim, so there's nothing to worry about here with your machine. It's just going to go ahead and smush anything that it doesn't need and get it out of the way, and you can see it just stitches right through there. So at that point you would go ahead and trim off the excess right up to the stitching line. You want to get it as close to that stitching line as you can get it without cutting through the stitching line, because that is holding that rosette down until we come back through. For the second layer, you're going to go ahead and receive a gray placement stitch and a white tack down stitch again, and you're going to go ahead and complete the rest of these layers just like we completed the first tier. And you'll notice that on the smaller designs it just has less tiers. Go ahead and stitch it out exactly like you would any other applique design, as if you were using fabric. If you need to cut through a rosette because that's where the stitches lead you, that's just fine. That's an okay thing to do, and it's going to look just fine. There's enough stitches here, especially with a finishing stitch, to keep that tucked down. You do want to go ahead and be sure to trim this as close to your stitches as possible and get it cleaned up with nice clean edges for you. And then the design will come back through with a zigzag finishing stitch. You can see that Scott does the test stitching around here, and something that he wanted me to be sure that I told you was helpful to him as he was doing this was, before the machine would come through a particular section, he just kind of somewhat moved the rosettes out of the way if it was possible, just because that helped the trim to remain more full and not get scrunched down underneath these finishing stitches. And those are basically those are just leaving you with a nice clean finished edge in between where you've attached the trim together, because there is a little bit of an overlap there. You can see that it's going to come around the outside, and it is a little bit difficult with this trim to get a perfectly cut edge, which is part of the reason that we decided to do a zigzag stitch instead of our vintage stitch that everybody likes, because it just really sort of contributed to the whole frayed look and made it look like it was much more intentional. So we hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. We have had people who have already had great success with the design, and we're having fun seeing photos of your finished projects coming in. So if you want to email those to us at orders@hangtodryapplique.com, we always love to see them and see how you interpret our designs and how you choose to use them. Also, feel free to post a photo on our Facebook page at facebook.com/hangtodryapplique. And thank you so much for your business. We appreciate it. Have a good one.